dose of Satanism.
Welcome to Daily Dose of Satanism, your podcast to get your daily dose of Satanism. I'm your host, Satan Wolf. I'm an author of satanic books as well as my blog, which you can check out at satanwolf.com. It's 100% free. Now, we do have some really cool merchandise that you can purchase, from books to clothes and accessories. There's a wide selection of both satanic and non-satanic products to choose from for those who've got a rebellious sense of style. While we always appreciate your support, this is the best way to support the show. You can also give us a like or a share or a subscription at any one of our multiple platforms, from Facebook to Spotify. Thank you very much and enjoy the show. Welcome to another episode of Daily Dose of Satanism. Today we're going to be talking about the Christian appropriation of culture in episode 15. Beyond the well-known examples of holidays like Christmas and Easter, many core symbols and rituals and figures in Christianity have origins that predate the religion itself. Now, this process is often referred to as syncretism. I can't pronounce. I told y'all I'm from the South. I mess up words, okay? I can write them real good, just speak them not so much. It was a deliberate strategy by the early Christian church to absorb pagan beliefs and practices, making the new faith more palatable to a newly converted population, or maybe I should say newly converted populations, plural, because there were many. And by doing so, they did not only draw in the people, but also systematically dismantled the old religions. The cross, from torture device to sacred symbol, the cross is the single most important symbol in Christianity, but its use as a religious emblem was rare for the first few centuries after Christ. Before that, before it was a symbol of salvation, the cross was a brutal Roman instrument of torture and execution. To early Christians, venerating a crucifix would have been akin to wearing a miniature electric chair or a gas chamber around one's neck. Death row. A little shout out to Suge Knight there. Now, the cross was a common symbol in many pre-Christian cultures, representing everything from the sun in the four cardinal directions to fertility and the union of heaven and earth. In ancient Egypt, the Ankh was a cross-like symbol that represented life itself. However, that was because of the word that it was. The actual hieroglyph of the Ankh, interesting fact here for you guys, was made from sandal straps. The loop goes around the ankle, and then the two side straps that latch around the foot, of course, and then one that went through the toes or whichever. So yeah, sandal straps from ancient Egypt ended up becoming their cross for life itself. The Tau cross, which is shaped like the letter T, was used in ancient Babylonian and Greek rites. It was only after the Roman Emperor Constantine adopted the cross as his military standard in the 4th century that it was gained widespread acceptance and was repurposed as a Christian symbol, erasing its grievous, more gruesome and pagan associations. So think about that for a second. The cross that everybody wears for this religion that's supposedly all about peace and love didn't even become a religious symbol until it was blazoned on the shields of the conquerors that went to convert people by sword point, essentially. A little history for you there. The halo, the radiant circle of light, known as a halo, is used to signify Christian holiness in art. It was not a Christian invention. It was a visual symbol used in pagan art for centuries to denote power and divinity and sacredness, often representing the sun. The ancient Greek and Roman sun gods, such as Helios and Apollo, I don't want to mispronounce it in case we have some pagan people listening to the show, no disrespect. Helios, not Helios. But they were frequently depicted with a glowing disc of crown and sun rays behind their heads to symbolize the divine nature and connection to the sun. The Persian god Mithras, a popular deity among Roman soldiers, was also known to be shown with a sun disk, and the early Christian church adopted this powerful and recognizable symbol as a visual cue to instantly convey the divinity of Jesus, Mary, and the saints, effectively taking the pagan sign of solar worship and recasting it as a sign of divine glory from the Christian God. Now, the Virgin Mother Mary, the sacred mother figure, the veneration of the Virgin Mary, particularly as the Queen of Heaven, is one of the most prominent features of Catholicism, While she's a central figure in the biblical narrative, her elevated status surrounding her have deep roots in pre-Christian mother goddess cults. Across the ancient world, people worshiped powerful female deities who were seen as mothers of gods or protectors of humanity. The Egyptian goddess Isis was often depicted nursing her divine son Horus in an image strikingly similar to the later Christian images of Mary and Jesus. In the Roman Empire, the great mother goddess Cybele was widely revered, and in Mesopotamia, the goddess Ishtar was titled the Queen of Heaven, long before that title was given to Mary. By integrating the figure of Mary and giving her many of the same qualities, titles, and even visual portrayals as these powerful goddesses, the church provided a familiar and comforting figure for converts who were accustomed to venerating a divine mother. Now, another reason why they would want to do this, because you got to understand, Christianity was it is a very male dominant sexist type religion that teaches the value of women to be, underscored. They don't put a high value on women. And so the idea of Mary being venerated originally would have been like a kind of ludicrous idea to them. As a matter of fact, the Gospel of Mary, which is an actual book, just like the rest of them, didn't get put in the Bible because when they were selecting what books to include in the canon, there were a couple reasons, but one of them was because they didn't want to put such a prominent title, place on a female figure in the Bible. So they took her gospel out. Now, that didn't stop them from later on adapting all these titles and such, because they wanted to conquer, and it was used as a tool. And that's just it. So the saints were also rebranded as local gods. The Christian practice of venerating saints is often served as a way to replace local pagan gods and heroes with Christian equivalents. When missionaries arrived in a new land, they would find the most popular local deity and assign their attributes and feast day to a new Christian saint. For example, many scholars believe that Saint Bridget of Ireland was a Christianized version of the powerful Celtic goddess Brigid, who was the deity of poetry, healing, and smithcraft. Her feast day on February 1st was the same as the pagan festival of Imbolc, which celebrated the arrival of spring. Similarly, the Christian Saint George, a patron of soldiers and the slayer of dragons, has been linked to various pagan dragon-slaying myths and figures from across Europe. This process allowed people to continue their existing traditions and devotions under a new Christian framework without disrupting the social and cultural fabric of their communities. And all of this stuff is like historical. You can be looked up. And I challenge, if any Christians are listening to this episode, go back and do your research. Learn the facts behind this stuff. And once you've seen how pretty much every piece of what you've been told to venerate in Christianity has come from a culture that guys took over it and made the people become Christians at the point of a sword. Once you see the brutality behind how these things came to be a part of your culture, you can't hardly not think about it anymore. I mean, unless you're just really one of those truly heartless people. But it's just evil. Okay, if this was to be any other culture besides this religion, anything else, a political movement or anything that did any of these things that Christianity was doing, people would be like, look at this evil thing here. So Christian cultural appropriation, real thing here. Let's move on and let's look at the rituals of purification, baptism, and holy water. While Christian baptism is central to the faith, the use for water for spiritual cleansing and initiation was a common ritual in many pre-Christian religions. Various mystery cults in the Greco-Roman world had purification rituals involving water to cleanse initiates of sin and prepare them for a new spiritual life. The use of holy water, which is blessed by a priest and used for spiritual cleansing and protection, is also not exclusively Christian practice. In ancient Greece, water was sprinkled from a vessel called, I'm not even going to try to pronounce it, to purify those who entered a temple. In many pagan traditions, rivers, springs, and wells were considered sacred sites with cleansing powers. By incorporating these pre-existing rituals and giving them a new Christian meaning, the church provided a seamless transition for people who already understood the power of sacred water.
It's now time for the satanic
verse of the day.
Satanic verse of the day. I am your host, Satan Wolf. Satanic verse of the day.
Daily dose of Satan.
SatanWolf.com.
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 Okay, so now I want to talk about building your own hell. People are always saying, go to hell. Well, for us Satanists, that might take on a bit of a different meaning, being as we don't believe in a lake of fire that we're going to go in for being bad boys and girls. So what is hell then exactly? Well, hell, by one definition, an old ancient one, was total separation from God. And for us Satanists, that's literally paradise for us. I mean, this is where we live at, where we go. This is where we dwell. This is where we're our comfort zone. We're grounded in logic, totally separated from God, and this is our hell. Okay, your life is your hell, and what you make it, pretty much that's just going to be your hell. You build your own, like a Build-A-Bear, something like that, you know, Mr. Potato Head. One of the things, you just get your shit together and create the life the way you want it to the best of your ability. Now, yes, we are our own gods, but we are not gods of the universe. We don't have these powers to just make everything just the way we want. But we do have a framework provided for us by Anton LaVey to cast satanic rituals. And while we don't believe this is a superstitious magic, we do believe that this is a way to manifest our will into reality, so long as, you know, everything's done properly, especially keeping things in perspective. That's one of the key elements, but that's for another episode. So ultimately, your life is your responsibility. Your hell is your responsibility, and it can either be a living hell or it can be, you know, a good hell. Depends on how you make it, and that's kind of where I stand on that. So how does this relate to you know, what we're talking about today? Well, you know, it's kind of like you see all these different traditions that were stolen by the Christians, the cultural appropriation of Christianity. Well, they're kind of building their own reality, building their own hell, right? And that's what some people wish to believe in, whether it's the saints or these lucky charms, you know. It's a bit of flavor to your life. Me personally, I like the penny one. Whenever I see a penny face down, I just turn it over and for somebody else to get the good luck. And I always pick up a penny on heads. This is one of my little traditions that I keep with. Another one is I don't like to split poles with somebody that I'm walking with. I've always heard if you split the pole, that's like saying you're separating your paths forever. Never a good omen. So like I try to avoid that. Just these little superstitions that make our life flavorful. And again, building your own hell. So that's kind of the best I see that connecting there. But yes, build your own hell. That is your responsibility. And if you don't know how you want your hell to be, then you just spend some time in the black mirror of reflection and figure that out. Bring us to our random useless fact of the day. Today, I want you to know that the patterns on a koala bear's paw prints are so similar to human fingerprints that they have, on occasion, been confused at crime scenes. So if you're ever thinking about committing a crime and you want to throw them off track, just get your little koala bear paw and leave a bunch of fingerprints everywhere. They'll be looking for the culprit forever. They'll never find the guy. Just kidding. Don't do that. Definitely not liable. Disclaimer, whatever, you know. Anyway, So that's all for today. Let's remember that understanding our history, even the uncomfortable parts, is the first step towards reclaiming our own power. And by recognizing how the most sacred traditions have been manipulated, we can begin to build a new perspective that is truly our own, build our own hell. And next time, we're going to talk about Anton LaVey. I'm going to go in depth about the history of Anton LaVey and the Church of Satan. I'm very excited about this episode. I'm going to have some clips of Anton LaVey speaking for you guys with some music in the background. I've been working on and everything, so definitely be looking for that. And till we meet again, may critical thinking forever guide your path. Our Father, who art in hell, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in hell. We take this night, our rightful due, and trespass not on passive pain. Lead us unto temptation, and deliver us from false piety. For this is thy kingdom, power, and glory, forever and ever.
SatanWolf.com.
SatanWolf.com.
Daily dose of Satanism.